A Spanish army officer was playing a friendly game of chess in the Cuban city of Havana. He was surprised when his 4-year-old son, who was never taught how to play chess, pointed out an illegal move made by him. Then he asked his son to play chess with him, and in the very first game he played, the 4-year-old child, who was never taught how to play chess, defeated him in the game. We are talking about who's Raul Capablanca, the third world champion and one of the greatest chess players the world has ever seen. He was the favorite player of Bobby Fischer, who regarded him to be the strongest chess players of all time, and Reuben Fine, one of the greatest chess authors in the pre-computer era, said, "What we see in months of analysis, Capablanca would see the same at a glance." In this video, I shall show you a game played by 12-year-old Capablanca against Cuban champion of those times, Corzo. Let us also not forget that when this game was played, Capablanca did not have his coach, he did not have computers, he did not have chess books. It was pure raw talent which made Capablanca play some beautiful games. So white Corzo, black Capablanca. This game was played in Havana in the year 1901. White played e4, e5, knight c3. This is called the Viennagame. Black replied knight c6, and now white played f4 in the spirit of King's Gambit. Black took the pawn, white played knight f3, and black played g5 with the idea of maintaining the f4 pawn, which restricts the diagonal of c1 bishop as well as f file. White embarked on a very risky strategy here. He played the move h4, and after g4 he jumped knight to g5. The knight is on a suicidal mission. White wants to sacrifice the knight after h6, knight f7, king f7, so that despite being one knight down, white gets a share of the classical center. He controls all the central squares with his two pawns, and at the same time, after capturing the pawn on f4, white would have an access to f file, strong diagonals. Both the bishops would play very well, and also the rooks on the f file. So the king on f7 would be exposed in the long run. White is a piece down, but he would have a very, very aggressive set of pieces. It is black Capablanca to move here. Black played a beautiful move, that is d5. Even at the age of 12, without the help of computers, Capablanca knew that when he is material up, he has to give back the material to complete or catch up with development. White captured e d5. Here white could also capture with the knight, but in that case Capablanca would play bishop to e6, not only attacking the knight, but if the knight moves, black can capture the d4 pawn. Black is one piece up, and white does not have sufficient compensation for the piece. Therefore, white captured with the pawn, attacking the knight. White intends to capture the f4 pawn once the knight moves, and he can get long-term attack against black's king. Black played queen e7 check, a very strong move. Since white cannot play queen e2, if the queen gets exchanged, then black would remain a piece up, and white will not have sufficient attack for the piece. If the white king moves to d2, obviously black has a met in 1 by queen e3. Therefore, white has an option between bishop e2 and king f2. If white plays bishop e2, black would play f3. attacking the pinned bishop. Notice black does not intend to retreat his c6 knight. Instead, he keeps on attacking. The best way for white would be to capture the pawn and castle, pinning the f pawn. But in that case, queen takes h4. Black threatens a checkmate on g2 by queen g3. White would have to capture rook f3, and after knight f6 defending the check, it is black who is in the attack. He has an open g file and white's king is more exposed than black. Therefore, in the game, the Cuban champion Corzo opted for king f2. Capablanca played g3 check, and the Cuban champion, he played king g1. Capablanca immediately noticed the king on g1 does not have an escape square at the moment. White is still one piece down, but he was banking on the fact that after black knight moves, he would capture the f4 pawn followed by the g3 pawn, and the king would move to h2, opening the f file for the rook. White would have a lot of attack against black's king. It is black Capablanca to move. Capa played another beautiful move, that is knight takes d4. So notice, although Capablanca is one piece up, he does not hold on to his extra material. He gives back his material for initiative. White had to capture queen d4, and now black played queen c5, making use of the fact that king on g1 does not have a single square to go. After queen c5 check, bishop c5, it would be a checkmate. Therefore, black played knight e2, defending the queen, and black here played queen b6 with the idea of bishop c5 pinning and winning the queen. Here, white could play bishop e3, somehow stopping bishop c5 and closing the diagonal. Black would be obliged to take on e3, after which white could capture h8 rook, but black had seen one move ahead. He would play knight f6 with the idea of bishop to g7, and white's queen would be trapped on h8. Therefore, instead of playing bishop e3, Corzo captured black's queen. After exchanging the queen, he played the move knight d4. After black played bishop c5, he played c3. At this point, material is equal, but black has gained initiative. Black played the move rook to a4, a beautiful move with the threat of rook d4. If white recaptures with the c pawn, black would play bishop d4, and that would be checkmate. If white defends by playing pawn to b4, stopping the rook's threat, black would still play rook takes b4, and after c b4, black would play bishop d4 checkmate. Therefore, white played bishop e2, making way an escape square for the king. Black played bishop d4 and he took a pawn. Now white played pawn to b3. Here black is one pawn up, and also white's rook on h1 will need quite a few moves to come to play. But at the same time, white has two bishops, and especially the bishop on b2 will be on a very strong diagonal after bishop b2. Black plays knight f6, white plays bishop b2 attacking the rook, and white plays rook d2 attacking both the bishops. White, the Cuban champion of that time, he had foreseen this position and he played the move bishop h5, making use of the fact that knight on f6 is pinned. Here black played another brilliant move. He captured the bishop with the knight, sacrificing an exchange and then playing f3, clearing the square f4 for the knight, which would be very close to white's king. So notice black started the game being a piece up, but now he is an exchange down. He has counter-attacked. He has given back all the material, but he has basically seized initiative. He wants to checkmate his opponent. White played gf3 and black went knight to f4. Black's idea is to checkmate white in the corner of the board. If white plays a natural move like rook c1, black would play rook f2 with the threat of knight e2 checkmate. The king on g1 does not have a single square to move. If white then plays rook c7 with the idea of capturing the g pawn and somehow escaping the checkmate, black then plays another beautiful move, that is bishop to d7, covering the check, and now knight e2 is very difficult to prevent. The only move which white can play is rook takes d7. Black would simply move his king away. There are no checks and no way to stop knight e2 checkmate. It's a very beautiful illustration of combinations. White played the move bishop to e5, attacking the f4 knight. Black played rook g2 check, king f1, rook f2 check, forcing white to play king to e1. If he played king g1, black would checkmate white with knight e2. Therefore, after rook f2, king e1, and black played knight d3 check, forking the king and bishop. The only move was king d1, and black could capture the bishop, and then with the help of g pawn he would win even more material. Therefore, white resigned. That's all for today. For more videos on chess instructions, keep watching Life is Chess.